Welcome, everyone, to the Salt Lake Expositor. Glad to see you, Randy and Jessica.
Always a pleasure.
Happy to be here on Sunday.
So, yeah, Jessica was away last week, across the pond, sort of, as the Brits would say. But tell us about your travels.
Yeah, so we were 4 Exmo girls, and we do this yearly. It's half of them were from Europe and half of us were from the United States. Now we were a little more, it just keeps kind of changing. But we just make it a point, especially in February. It's like you get better deals because it's not like a lot of people are traveling. So we go February when there's no school break and just come together as girls and women who really were like all in Mormonism, from Stake Relief Society to seminary teachers and everything, and just all out now. And yeah, so for us, it was fun. I mean, obviously now it's getting more normal, like having our first drinks together. And one time we even went, when we were in London, to the Book of Mormon musical all together and had a blast. And then a couple of us also made it a point when we were out to get tattoos. So this one was my, let's see if I can show it. This one was my first. It's a glass of alcohol.
Oh, there you go.
Yes. And then this one is a new one. It's 4 hearts for my kids, and then their letters. That's what we did in Scotland, in Edinburgh. That's where we were. And so for us, it's just, it doesn't mean you have to do tattoos or drink alcohol or become alcoholics. It's just the freedom of you can choose now. If you like it, if that's something you want to do, which was, at least to all of us, we were so much in, it was big taboos that was highly judged, those activities. And now with like, we're almost all in our end 40s. And now we have the freedom to do so.
When you were in Amsterdam, did you get a chance to peruse the red light district?
We actually did, and we learned quite a bit about history too. So we take it all in.
It's actually a tourist attraction.
It is.
You've got these buses dropping off tourists at the red light district.
Yes, and it's way less crazy than you think, honestly. It's really not intimidating. You can walk through. Yes, you see some women in windows, but they're not naked or anything. So it's not that bad if you kind of put the whole devil and sexuality behind you and learn, being a normal human being. Then you can choose to walk there or not, whatever, but it doesn't make you bad or anything.
Are there also like drug dens, not drug dens necessarily, but I mean sort of places to go for people to consume things?
In Amsterdam?
Is that a different place?
Yeah, but it's like to them is normal. You just go to a coffee shop.
Yeah, just like
coffee
hanging
shop.
out.
Yeah.
Doing a doobie or whatever.
Yeah, you can do that. Now in Scotland, it was one like pubs. There were, I think, more pubs than public toilets. I don't know, but they're definitely fun. There's also the cafe where J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter, and now we can totally see that that wasn't even that miraculous, because Edinburgh looks like Harry Potter, like Hogwarts. It's just funny.
So did you post a bunch of pictures of your trip?
And not on Facebook so much. I'm not huge on personal stuff on social media. It's like WhatsApp. It's kind of an app that a lot of Europeans, where I can be more private. And I did some, though, on Facebook, actually, some group pictures where we were out and about.
Sounds great.
Are those your first tattoos ever?
Yeah.
So do you feel like a harlot now?
No, funny, right? I mean, they have meaning to me, and I don't know how to explain it. It's really more the freedom to do so, I guess. I wouldn't even say I'm like not into or against tattoos. So that's the fun thing. Like, I just don't need to judge anymore. It's just like, when people have it, great. If they don't, also great. But it's just nothing. It's like, you want to wear a black shirt or blue shirt, I don't care. Whatever makes you happy.
I love that you did it spontaneously.
Yes. Oh, and
fun.
Here's another funny story. So it was just 2 of us who wanted tattoos. The other one did want to go to Thrive or a thrift store. So we're like, that was not our thing. We're like, okay, off you go. And we find a tattoo store. So we were looking online because it was all more spontaneous, like good reviews and blah, blah, blah. And we found this one, but we also really liked the name of the tattoo studio. It was the Devil's Scribe. So it was just speaking to us. So we were like, that's it is. So we like kept walking. It wasn't far. And you would not believe the coincidence. So we are like, it was maybe less than 5 minutes walk where we were. So we're like, okay, let's walk real quick. And then there were those two guys talking to people on the street. And we're like, no way, those are missionaries. And they turned around, sure enough, they were woman missionaries. We're like, can you believe this coincidence? And I really thought they were talking to some, they would, not even notice us. And then they turned around, saw both of us, and they were like, hey, do you want to go to church on Sunday? And I'm like, what an opening. But I was like, no, like a really just stern no.
That's right. Not as fun as a tattoo.
No, not at all. And I had no interest. I mean, like in hindsight, my friend was like, we could have been maybe a little more nice. I mean, I had a son on a mission, but I just had no interest. I mean,
at least like to ask where they're from and how long they've been out, some pleasantries.
It was also freezing cold, to be fair. It was not.
There you go.
Yeah. So, but I was just like, I don't want to be outside talking to somebody I have no interest in. And in a way, maybe, down the road, I will be capable of that. But right now it's so triggering. So I just I'm not there yet where I can, be like, hey, it's not, maybe they don't even want to be here. And I get that. But I'm not there yet. So I'm sorry. I'm still on my journey of, healing. And so I was just like, nope, no interest.
Randy, are you still on a Seattle high?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Although I have changed the decor lighting around my house to Valentine's Day. And of course, now that Valentine's Day is over, the lights are off until we get to St. Patrick's Day. And then
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like an incredible trip, Jessica. Life-changing.
Yeah.
And speaking of life-changing things, Jean, what have you experienced this past week that might make a huge difference in your life?
So I've hinted that I have some new teeth that I've been working on.
Yay!
I've been feeling a need to do more work and pay for them, and so I've been busy doing that. So I haven't been doing very many interviews lately, but there are some in the road down the road that we're going to hit. Also, Thrive is coming up in St. George, and Michelle and I are going to leave later this week and pick up Tim Rathbone in Central California, and we're going to head to St. George, Utah. And I get to meet Jeremy Reynolds.
Awesome.
That'll be
my highlight.
He seems like a really nice guy. I mean, I only saw him obviously on podcast, but he seems really like legit, kind, down-to-earth guy.
Is he going to be speaking?
He's going to be. I haven't looked at all the presenters and everything, but I just heard that he was going to be there. So
Jeremy Reynolds, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is the one that authored the CES letter, which is a very famous or notorious, depending on your outlook. But it's what grabbed me like a shark in the toilet when I read it. It's like, holy crap, this guy's got so many incredible points.
There's kind of things
I've been asking.
In my opinion, the accumulation of the CES letter, John DeLynn finding his roots in his Mormon stories, and this is about a dozen years ago, and the internet causing pressure on the church to be more transparent, that they were already doing the Joseph Smith Papers Project. Dan Vogel's book on Joseph Smith, and the other author, Rough Stone Rolling, Richard Bushman. Those books, and John DeLynn and Jeremy Reynolds, and TikTok and other things, Facebook, social media, created sort of a whirlwind. That what came out, the Gospel Topics essays, the change in the status of children of LGBTQ, and by revelation they were excluded from baptism, and then 3 years later they were miraculously, because the leaders prayed to God for love, a loving thing, and then that went away. But it didn't really went away. The policy didn't go away. What they changed was, instead of getting permission from the Quorum of the 12, you only need to get permission for your bishop. So all you had to do is be nice to your bishop, and the bishop would allow your kids to be baptized.
And I think you're not automatically apostates anymore when you LGBTQ or something. I think they changed that too, or softened
So yes, there's lots of softening of things,
Yeah.
and then obviously different changes on the way because of Mormon being out there. The Mormon musical that was also a dozen years ago, Book of Mormon musical. Mormon. I'm wearing this shirt because of other things related to that, and so the new prophet sort of banned this word for a little while, and it's probably on his way back. It's on his way back so much that some podcasters are getting saber rattling from lawyers for the church.
Yeah, here's a question that popped into my brain just now. They're going after John DeLynn and Dives and some of these for having Mormon in the name of their podcast channels. If the church is going to sue them, shouldn't they be suing the entertainment industry, whatever it is that came up with the Book of Mormon, the Broadway show?
Yeah.
How can they sue John DeLynn for using Mormon in his title, yet they're making bazillions of dollars on the Book of Mormon, which they should be able to. But
Yeah.
I can see the church,
Right. And so, and also a little bit more than a dozen years, 14 years ago, Mitt Romney ran for president the second time. And he was actually on the, out in front of the Republican Party. That actually was part of my deconstruction. I was so mad at the evangelicals who didn't vote Republican just because Mitt Romney was a Mormon.
Yeah.
Because they don't think he's Christian. He didn't get a chance. I wanted to see Mitt Romney. He seemed like a nice enough guy.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Who knows? The history was something else. But I was proud of America for voting for Obama. Proud that he got a second term, even though I was hoping for a Mormon at the time. Just to see, sort of like pinch myself, see what happens. And so anyhow, there's other comments that it was called the Mormon moment.
Yep.
And now we're living through the Mormon millennium. It's going to be Mormon for 1,000 more years.
Yes.
Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow, who are the evildoers?
Jody Frankie.
Jody
Frankie. Hildebrand, yeah.
All those things are happening. And all those things have caused a crisis of faith among a lot of church members. The CES letter, even the Book of Mormon musical.
Oh, yeah.
Make people think.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Gene, let me ask you a question. You said at the time you were hoping for a Mormon president. Tell me why.
So at the time, I thought that the Mormon church was true and that I was having my doubts and questions about certain things. Like, why wasn't the church honest about Joseph Smith's polygamy or the blacks in the priesthood issue? Because by then I knew that the church was dishonest to me about it, that there had been blacks that held the priesthood in the church in the 1800s that had administered blessings and had officiated in offices and done all the things that anybody else would have. But it was basically discrimination, bias, racial, whatever you call it. What's a harsher word? Racism.
Bigoted. Yeah.
Bigoted, right?
Yeah.
It was, and that made, it seemed more real to me because that would make sense. Human beings have problems, but the church is supposed to help with those things. And yet here we had, you can't just throw Brigham Young under the bus. You have like 10 or 12 more prophets in a row that were basically, I'm going to say, chicken shit. They didn't want to do the right thing.
Yep.
And I felt that Spencer W. Kimball was brave to do what he did. I was proud of him in a way. But now we have a book that talks more about that.
So by you wanting Mitt Romney to become president, you were falling into line with what the prophets would, want as an active member, to listen to educated members of the church because they won't steer you wrong, as opposed to listening to others who will take you right off the track to eternity.
So, I mean, we would have a president that, according to Mormon beliefs, is in touch with people who God talks with. And wouldn't that be great for a country to have God help the country be a little bit better? Now, in my last dozen years of learning things, it turns out that I'm recognizing that God is about 50 years behind the times when he relies on Mormon prophets to do the right thing. The culture, humanity is way better than God, record-wise. Yes. Science is better. There's all kinds of things. And that's okay. Belief is important. But anyway, so let's get to the subject. The prophet Dallas Oaks is what I say, but it's really Dallin. But I just wanted to make one last fun. I'll probably change it later. He made a speech. And so let's talk about the fact that he recognizes that there's been lots of crises of faith, and he has a remedy for members of the church. And we're going to discuss that. And here's what somebody...
And we'll get to that speech and actually play some parts of it.
Yeah.
But let me give you a reaction video first to one of the influencers who he's talking about in this little clip. I'll just run it here.
The new Mormon prophet, Dallin H. Oaks, appears to be shaking in his boots, a little scared, a little nervous about post-Mormon podcasters and content creators, and for good reason. This is from a BYU devotional just a few days ago. An abundance of speculation and false information in podcasts and on social media surround us. Some may protest or question the truth of church doctrine without even knowing or even understanding the fullness of that doctrine. Don't be persuaded by false or inaccurate information. You can insult my faithfulness, Dallin H. Oaks, but don't insult my intelligence, because I know what the fuck I'm talking about. We have receipts and we have proof. So to paint anyone who is critiquing the church or not painting the church in a great light as spreading misinformation, it's giving Trump, number one, and it's dangerous and it's cult-like. It's literally a cult tactic. Here's where I get really pissed off though. Seek friends and associates who are striving to follow the Lord, with whom you can feel the Spirit and reinforce your faith. Surround yourselves with people who believe. This is cruel to people who are in mixed faith dynamics of any sort, which most people who leave the Mormon church end up in. They have family members still in the church. They have friends in the church. Maybe they have a coworker who's not Mormon. And here is the prophet of the church saying, only hang out with people who believe in the truthfulness of the Mormon church. The only silver lining here is it is so blatantly like put on blinders. Hopefully the people with the blinders on might be like, wait, why am I being told to put on blinders? That doesn't feel good. The other silver lining is that he's scared, and he should be, because people are talking about it. People are sharing their experiences, and they're sharing actual doctrine that you can look up and see that Brigham Young himself said it, or Joseph Smith himself said it, or maybe you said it, Dallin H. Oaks, or maybe it was the former prophet. Y'all are the ones saying it. We're just sharing it, and it's making you look bad.
So there you go. Thanks to Haley Rowley of, what's her podcast?
It was Girls Camp, or it's something else, I think, because she had trouble with that name too, but I could look it up.
Oh, did she start calling it Mormon Girls Camp?
It was, I think. Now I can look it up real quick, because she has awesome contact. Girls Camp Pod.
Girls Camp Pod. Yes. Yeah, so thanks to her for that introduction to the show. And let's see. Jessica, what did you think about that? Or
I'm glad. So Jean kind of was talking more about the whole thing. And I have to admit, I only concentrated on the one that most podcasted because it was about podcasts. But I'm glad I listened to the whole thing. And there were even more disturbing things, which just hit me when she said the first thing was like, when he was saying abundance of speculations. When I listened to his whole talk, that's how it felt for me. He did just abundance of speculations, what ex-Mormon podcasters do. So he does the same tool. He does what he tells us, apparently we all do. They do the same. They're just guessing that we're doing wrong doctrine, that we're teaching, that we lie. Where I'm like, how many Dallas, but how many have you actually watched? How many have you watched? And you can actually prove that we're lying, that we have half doctrines, that we know half the stuff. Where I'm like, please name it. What are we doing wrong?
You know, I've told everybody lately on Facebook, I've been engaging in a lot of discussion, as you probably know. And you know, I tell them the same thing. If you can just point out one lie I tell in these videos, I'll buy you a steak and lobster dinner.
Exactly.
Guess what? I haven't had to buy any steak and lobster dinners because we're not lying. Like the girl that we just watched said, you all are the ones that are lying. We're just presenting the facts. We're just pointing it out.
Or just point out something that's not true, and I'll thank you for it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will do some research, and I'll see if your comment is correct, and we'll use our rational brains, and we'll do things on the scientific method. President Oaks talks about the scientific method as important.
Well, but the thing is, we don't have to lose anything, right? We're not afraid of being wrong or maybe getting something wrong. That's the problem. Their whole identity depends on truth. We are the only true church, right? And that's the problem. It's like, it's not even an insult to us. It's more challenge. Okay, challenge me. Where did I got something wrong? I'm happy to, exactly indulge in a conversation. The problem is more like you guys are afraid that we are maybe more than one's right.
That's right.
Well, really, and we bring the receipts.
Exactly.
We come with receipts.
Exactly.
We can show you the quotes. We can show you, and when some of these, the Mormon people are kind and genuine as a whole, but then you have these a-holes that want to be judgmental and pick your things apart, and so when they get cornered, what do they say? Well, you're taking it out of context.
You never knew the whole thing.
Yeah, you haven't listened to the whole thing. That's out of context.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Thought-stopping techniques.
Yes, exactly.
So that reminds me, when I first heard the parts of Dallas Oaks talking about stay within the faith with only faithful, this speech has a possibility of being called the great cocooning of the Mormon church. It could be so insular that they force only the true believers into a cocoon, and they separate themselves from the multi-faith families, the LGBT community, the Christians, right? Because Christians that say Mormons aren't Christian, they're not members of the LDS faith. So Dallas Oaks basically said to not listen to them either.
So
so we'll get into more. We'll get into more of those things. Did you want to show something first, Randy?
Well, I was just going to say when he spoke, he brought up 4 points, or as you call them, Gene, 4 tips to remain spiritual, and these are them. I think the third one is what really hits home with us, because we are the podcasters presenting truth. And he's telling us that basically we're stupid. We don't know what we're talking about. So be very, very wary about listening to us. I think that's kind of a cheap shot.
Yeah. And if you look at even all 4 of them, strengthen our faith in him, but yet he's saying, listen to me. So that's what I always struggle with Mormonism, because they use the word Jesus and Christ, but again, in General Conference, who get quoted a dozen more, any prophet, not Jesus Christ. So, and it's just it's a saying, strengthen our faith in him. It doesn't mean anything. How is Jesus helping you with polygamy? How is Jesus helping you with racism? He can't, because he's not literally talking to you, and there's nothing in the scripture. Then increase our humility is kind of the same, where it's like, what does it even mean? Because on the other hand, you're not what's the adjective? If you were you are. Yeah, well, I mean, Mormons can't really use humility, because you think you're the shit of the earth. I mean, in a good way, you know what I mean? Like, you think you have it. So how are you able actually come down from this horse? Because that's what we all did. We had to humiliate. Well, I can't say that word. ourselves, right? We had to agree at some point, shit, I might got it wrong. Maybe this is not the true church. But as long as you think like this, I'm not sure you're able to increase your humility.
Right. I have advice for thee, but not for me.
Exactly. So they're talking to the echo chamber, right? Again, I mean, I have to look it up, where he was saying something like, oh, we miss you guys. No, who are you talking to? None of us are in your meetings. You're just talking to the ones who are inside, and that's fear-mongering, saying, don't you leave like them. Because none of those ex-Mormons or apostates, we only listen so that we can talk to friends and family where we can at least say, no, that's not true. That's what he said. But we don't listen anymore because we care.
Right.
Did you have any clips from him, Randy? Any I wanted to show at some point, or we don't really have to. We could actually just go and talk, because this is big news. Radio Free Mormon did a live with John DeLynn and Colby Reddish and the other Randy in the ex-Mormon space.
Right.
That also wants to be called Glenn.
I am looking something up that I want to pop up there that just came up.
Okay.
Go ahead and talk amongst yourselves.
So I was thinking that I'll put in the link. We can go in and out of discussion. We have our friend from across the world who's interested in putting his 2 cents in. I don't know.
Is that Peter you're talking about?
Our Mongolian friend.
Oh, Diamond Dave. Yeah, Dave is a good man.
Yeah, he is our resident Mongolian.
Nice.
I mean,
we don't have many Mongolians, so
no.
we're glad to have you, Dave.
Yes.
Yeah. Although Mongolian means we should stick with just one.
I mean, if you want to, I have summarized a little bit the opening. Oh, hey.
let's let Diamond. I said a bunch of stuff for the first 15 minutes. We all chatted. Diamond Dave has some things in his brain.
Yeah, I wanted to get this off real quick because people were talking about John DeLynn, and I think Randy brought it up of the Mormon Church suing John DeLynn. Oh, geez. Okay, hang on. My wife wants the link to this, but that's okay. So yeah, give me a second. I'm just gonna send this over so she can watch. I am very much.
She's gonna be active in the chat then.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just my phone is tweaking out here. Give me. All right. Well, let me. Whatever. Let me do it.
And let's say right now there's no lawsuits. There's nothing. John's in mediation. He's discussing it. The church has written him a letter.
Yeah. So I just figured out a really easy way to do this. I'm so sorry, guys. So here's the thing, and this is like, I am not a fan of John DeLynn. I don't want to offend anybody who might be friends with him. I think he's a pushover. I think he's a pushover, and I think that's why he's in mediation, because when the church told him, you're using our colors, which is blue and white, and you can't trademark colors, he caved. And then they're saying, oh, you've got Mormon in your name. Now, here's the thing with copyright law, and I've worked in banking, so I know a little bit about this. There's a defense called the Flatches defense. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But basically what it is the Mormon Church has waited 20 years to make an issue about Mormon Stories podcasts. They knew about it for 20 years. They did nothing. And John DeLynn, instead of fighting it on those grounds, is going into mediation. Also, like
Ashley,
Randy...
Can I chime in on that for just a second?
Yeah.
First of all, when he's been sued before, $100,000 goes out of his future bank account because he's relying on the bank of Mormon Stories to pay him in the future. It's got a contract, right? So even though, what's the name of his corporate headquarters? Was
it Open Stories Foundation?
Open Stories Foundation has to defend him, right? And so he wants to limit as a wise steward over that money, his expenses. And here's another thought process I had. If he goes through mediation, he's actually creating, in a way, content, because he's getting the church's side. I don't know how much, but it does look like caving. It does look like all those things, and everybody has a right to say that about him. But I'm just wondering if there's also a cheerleader, like keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. His mediation is a way of talking with the lawyers and getting there. What are they thinking about, right?
Yeah, and I mean, there's that angle too. It's a personality difference. So I don't think John Dehlin's a bad person.
Right.
His personality and mine is very different. He goes the mediation route. I will go with every single technicality, like the Flotch's defense, like what Randy brought up, where you're going after John Dehlin, but you're not going after Secret Wives of Mormon Wives. You're not going after the Book of Mormon musical. That would be my strategy, and I would just double down. Like I believe, what's her name, Heather Gay, when she did the Bad Mormon book and she got sued. That would be kind of my approach: the double down on the technicalities, and she won.
Right, and so
yeah.
So anyway,
it's just a difference of approach. But I wanted to bring that up before I forget, because people were talking about the mediation, and I'm like, what the church is doing is outside of copyright law.
That's
if
right.
someone is infringing on your copyright, you have to jump on it right away, and you have to treat it equally under the law in America. You cannot pick and choose who you allow to use your trademark and who you don't.
All I'm going to say, Dave, is if you ever have a chance to sue a multi-billion-dollar church named the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I am going to root for you.
I am praying that day will come. I will pray that day will come.
You won't be spending my money defending your position. So that's why we all think, John Dehlin should toughen up, right? Because he has $1 million compared to, I don't know what the astronomical odds are winning him with $1 million purse against a $150 billion or more corporation. So anyhow, Randy, you got to lift up your voice.
Mute.
You're muted. Randy's muted again.
I knew that. I was just testing you guys. There's a little something I want to read here, because Dallin Oaks is not the only one who thinks that obviously those who have left the church are stupid, or doing podcasts are stupid. Spencer W. Kimball put it even a little clearer, and I'll be happy to read this for you. This is what this says. This is a speech given by Spencer in April of 1974, General Conference. Long before Russell Nelson called us lazy learners, Spencer W. Kimball called us stupid indeed. He said, "Every person has his free agency. He may steal or curse or drink or truly defile himself with pornographic material. He may lazy away, having a hard time reading that, his life, and fail to do his duty, commit sexual sins, or even take life. There's no force, but he must know that sin brings its proper punishment sooner or later and in total, so that one is stupid indeed to choose to do the wrong thing." Well, that's Christ-like.
Yes, always.
I think it's funny. Britty's comment is covering my face. That's hilarious. But yeah, I think it's funny. Like, whenever the Mormon apostles go with these comments, it's like, you can either come to church with us, or you can be a porn addicted, heroin addicted, gun shooting. Yeah, gun shooting. But I mean, like, school shooting. Like, they go off like this really bizarre deep end. And I was just reading that, and it's like, I'd be having a beer right now if I had one. Like, I totally have to buy some, right? But it's not like I'm a raging alcoholic, and it's like, where's the normal people? Because when you think about the bell curve of people, you have, like, on the far right, you've got on both fringes, you have either the worst of humanity or like, I don't know, the Dalai Lama, right? Like the whole group of people. But everyone else is like in the middle somewhere, right? And
But it's
so
also
it's like, what about these people in the middle? It's like you're talking to like either the holiest of church members or like
exactly.
some gangbanger in the street that's not even watching this, right?
And
Yeah.
and we're being punished for asking questions, for studying, for using the brains that God gave us. We're
But
the
it's
bad
also
guys.
ignoring that there are plenty of Mormons who struggle with, like, active members with pornography, drinking alcohol. That's the naive Mormon who thinks nobody does this. That's what shocked me. The more I woke up, I noticed, holy shit, they're all doing that too. So are they stupid too? Or are you only stupid because you finally figured out the church is not true, right? Because if you do all those things as a believing Mormon, apparently it's not a problem, because some do struggle with alcohol, with caffeine, with pornography. So what's with them? So it's a
Yeah.
huge difference because every Sunday you walk and take the sacrament.
I should take some of these apostles to Provo because I live like 6
Right.
blocks from BYU, and I'm like, you know that when I was a member of the church, I was drinking with a bunch of BYU students, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. So it's naive.
Well, the way I see it, Christ was an apostate to
Yeah.
his given religion. You know, he was a
Exactly.
Sadducee, and he didn't agree with a lot of things, so he started looking around. What did he do? He started questioning things. Gene, I know you've purchased vehicles before, and we had a brief discussion. Do you go, when you buy a vehicle, do you just go to a car lot and just buy the first one that the salesperson shows you because he'll tell you that's the best car for you?
No, and I don't pre-decide that one brand is the best, and I only listen to that brand spokespeople and their information. I try to do my best to gather information, to do research, to use my brain. I mean, that's the one thing that part of what Latter Daily Digest is hopes to show people, that we all have brains, and we want, and rational thinking is a way of using your brains, and that's good. And so
I think the danger in Mormonism is, I think a lot of Mormons, at least I thought so too, I do use my brain, right? It's kind of like, what are they talking about? But I think the ultimate power kind of is like, but I felt. It would be like as if you would buy a car because it felt so good, or because the guy was so nice, right? That's what Mormons do. You meet a bishop and he's such a nice guy, or the missionaries were so nice, or you were love bombing by the young women's president or something. So it's Mormons have this ultimate trump card where if nothing goes, if intelligence go out the window, they can't prove you wrong. So your facts are right, but then they will say, but the spirit, I can't deny the spirit. The spirit told me this church is true. And that's the problem. We can be as logical as we still want to, and we still never will give up, and that's fine. But I feel like there's always this wall where we kind of ex-Mormon will crash against when they say, yeah, you're all right. I can see that. I struggle with that too, but I can't deny my spiritual testimony. And that's when I'm out the door.
Or they'll say, you're taking this in the wrong context.
Yeah, which is just
in the wrong context. It's like, I posted a TikTok video the other day about the LGBTQ community, and the prophet just said that, you know what, they're raunchy, basically. Don't let your gay children stay the night with you. Don't invite them
get
into
infected.
Your home. You know, yeah.
Yep.
And well, shoot, I can't remember what I was going to say, but it's so blatantly obvious that they make this point of, hey, you know, we don't want LGBTQ members in the church, you know.
Yeah.
And yet you have members saying, oh, you're taking that in the wrong context. What the hell other context is there?
Exactly.
Right.
You know,
and
if they say it, they say it.
And love doesn't make it up. If I'm German, right? If I would say I love Jewish people, but I'm okay with them sending, masses in the gas chamber, that means shit. And just because you say, a lot of Mormons like to say, well, we do love the LGBTQ, we have nothing against it. Your action speaks the opposite. It doesn't matter anymore how often you cry, we love them. Your action is the opposite.
Well, it's not only just that. On a deeper level, it's the individual might be okay with it, but the system that they are in is not okay with it. So, I mean, that would basically be the equivalent of, me working at Wells Fargo promoting like anti-banking, which is a thing. Won't get into it, but anti-banking is a thing, right? It's like, yeah, okay, you're really for this, but you're a part of this. So we're just going to assume you are where you intend to be on this topic.
Right.
And good news, by the way, they have come up with this is a tool that I use whenever I hear the prophet speak.
Bullshit meter.
And I just snapped a quick pic of this bullshit meter when he was talking about, how you shouldn't be contacting.
I heard, Randy, that you are petitioning the church to install these during conference.
Yep. A great big one, like a jumbotron.
Yeah, maybe behind the speaker.
But if you don't have one of these, it really comes in handy. Trust me.
And to bring in some other church news, right? The new apostle, kind of the same thing. You cry diversity, you cry, no, we do better. And surprise, surprise, another white guy becomes the new apostle. That's just the thing. You talk on one hand, but you don't do. You just never do.
Do as I say, not as I do, right?
Yeah.
This goes back into like my two churches theory, because there's like multiple churches within the same like organization, because the church that I joined is a different church than you guys.
Call that the pews, the church pew members.
Yeah.
They call that, there's another word for it. The chapel members.
The members.
Versus the corporate church.
So there's the corporate church, there's the attending membership, and it's kind of interesting to see how the organizational side, like the Q15, the apostles, they they try and like walk the line between the two, which gives like a lot of mixed messaging. Like I think Uchtdorf is the only one who's somewhat consistent in his organizational talks and how he like interacts with members.
Yeah.
I think he's literally the only one. Someone can correct me if they have another one, but
yeah, and I agree with Brittany, the apostate. I said the same thing.
Right.
The church can never be diverse if you leave out women, if you leave out LGBT, I mean, besides the color of the skin, right? And then the other problem is but that's already like 10, 15 years ago. You were claiming, how big the church was in Latin countries, yet no representation, at least in the 12. And now you're crying like, we're growing immensely in Africa. And still, again, no African representative. How is that a worldwide church? That's a church of Utah.
And that leads to the fact that there was a new apostle.
Exactly.
This week, right? And there was projections. There was a few
hopes,
Africans, descendants who were in the running, maybe, whatever they say. There were a few other people of other
ethnicities.
and the church chose this one apostle. Now, we can say that also ties in with Elder Oaks' talk, because in his talk, he talked about how 55 years ago when he became the president of BYU, apparently he wasn't able to achieve what he would eventually become in the future. He's hoping that it becomes the real Lord's University,
the great university of the Lord.
That was surprising to me that the BYU says they're the Lord's University, but according to the prophet, it hasn't gotten there yet.
Nope.
That's amazing to me. What is going to happen? So Elder Gilbert is going to, from the church education system, is going to do some things, and we can do a whole new show.
Yeah,
because we could talk about the new apostle and bring everybody up to date on him. But you, Jessica, realize that he's been working at BYU and the church education system, making changes anyway. You want to just touch on a couple of those?
Yeah, I think we have a video. I think it was from the Salt Lake Tribune 2 years ago, right? Where he was already cracking down and hard. And now I think they had already a tiny interview where he was like, no, I'm not this conservative. I mean, I had to do, that's what his cute excuse was. I had to do what Nelson wanted me to do. And now I have to shift and change because now I have to follow the living new prophet. And that's such a convenient excuse for everybody to say, well, that's what this. So apparently, if a prophet wants to be racist, you're racist. And if a prophet wants to be against LGBTQ, so it's again always this like Mormons have to defend the undefendable. And again, to his point, right? Like it's just like there are the people in the pews, and there might be, let's say, most of them are good. I mean, there's still assholes in Mormonism. Let's be honest with that too. But the ones who are good struggle then because they don't get any tools. They're just like, here, this is what you have to represent and defend now. And that's the same. BYU to me, it's just the microcosm of Mormonism. And he was one of those hardliners. And now he's trying, I think now he's trying to be the, oh, no, I'm a loving apostle, kind of trying to do that. But I mean, we can watch, it's not the whole video and people can go back to Salt Lake Tribune. But if we just listen to like a minute or two, I think you get a good picture who he actually is.
And if Randy, if you have something you want to just share real quick that means something else.
Well, it's just along the same lines.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's play what you have, and then we'll go. Then you go find what Jessica was talking about.
Oh, okay. You sent it to me, Jessica?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was from
I'll find it while you're watching this. This is Benjamin Parks. He's a historian. You may know him, but let me play this here. Let me put sound on it just in case you want to hear it.
Let's talk about how the appointment of Clark Gilbert to an apostle is the clearest sign that the LDS Church is embracing the stance of retrenchment. Gilbert received his business degree from Harvard Business School, where he learned the disruptive techniques of the modern business world. He taught at the school for a few years, but after not being retained and being given a long-term job, he joined the LDS Church administration. After being put in charge of the church's media arm, he got to try out his disruptive techniques by taking over the Deseret News and firing nearly half the staff. But more than slimming down their operations, he also streamlined their focus, telling them that they should focus on the foundations of the church, meaning conservative values that would set them apart from the rest of the world, which is actually a through line across much of his career in church leadership, denouncing the inroads of secularism in modern society and the need for the nation, including its universities, to return to their spiritual core. He first integrated this philosophy at Brigham Young University, Idaho, when he became president, but then across the BYU system-wide when he became the Commissioner of Education. And since taking over church education, Gilbert has been consistent and vehement in trying to reaffirm the university's mission, trying to reject modern progressivism and return to the fundamentals. BYU faculty, staff, and students have all been quite vocal, albeit anonymously given the surveillance, about the reign of terror that Gilbert has introduced, especially at BYU Provo, something documented in the Salt Lake Tribune last year. This includes introducing new pledges that the faculty have to sign concerning orthodoxy, as well as a new ecclesiastical clearance office to oversee all hires and renewals for faculty, this black box that has rejected a large number of potential hires at the school. And many of the potential hires that he has vetoed were women, without any real reason or justification beyond their gender. I don't know if we've had someone added to the Quorum of the 12 with such a clear record of culture war rhetoric and an argument for retrenchment since J. Reuben Clark in the 1930s and Ezra Taft Benson in the 1940s. In other words, by appointing Clark Gilbert to the Quorum of the 12, Dallin H. Oaks is signaling which direction he wants the church to go. And given that Jeffrey R. Holland's musket fire speech ably captured Clark's vision for Mormonism, it's probably fitting that Clark is the one that replaced Holland.
So I'll just say the cocooning of the church. Those are things. So this could backfire. People could recognize that and say, that is not the church I want to be in. I want to be in the big tent. I want to be in the loving, Jesus-y, love your neighbor, be kind to one another, instead of everybody's the enemy.
I think that's the actual strategy. And I think, Gene, you guys have heard me bring this up before in the past, even like when I first moved here, was because we've talked about how the church tries to like straddle between the conservatives and the progressives, and they're going to have to make a choice at some point. And I said that I predicted them becoming more conservative, because it's the conservative members who pay tithing. It's the conservative members who go on missions. It's the conservative members who, that actually support the rhetoric. And in other countries where the church is expanding, especially in Africa, it is very much not liberal in these countries. So I kind of predicted this happening. And I don't know. I mean, like, on the one hand,
I heard you say that.
Okay, yeah. And I mean, it's like, the church is going retrenchment, which is basically from an organizational, like a corporate setting. It's a restructuring, and it's getting back to the basics, because we see this in businesses all the time, even at Wells Fargo with the bad home loans in 2008 with the Jabari settlements. There's always a getting back to values and then moving forward.
But here's the thing I'll say real quick. Retrenchment has happened in the LDS church. When Joseph Smith had the anti-bank failure, they had to retrench, right?
Yeah.
When he declared certain things in Nauvoo, they had to retrench. When Brigham Young went to Utah in the 1850s, Brigham Young was wondering why Jesus hadn't come yet. They're in the promised land. Why isn't he here? It must be the members' fault. They rebaptized everybody. They recommitted everybody to the retrenchment principles of the church at the time. Brigham Young was, the dictator. He was in charge. It was just right around this time, the Mountain Meadows Massacre and announcing polygamy. That God was on their side, right? But so why isn't Jesus coming? Because we want this to happen. So it's a retrenchment. And then there's other times that there's been retrenchment, and in a way, the dumbing of the church that happened in the 50s and the 60s that we call, what do you call that, Randy, where we're all on the same page?
Wait.
We're all in. It's how the lessons work now. It's the basis for how the church is going. They consulted business leaders, a commission, and the commission said, if you want to be an organization that acts like a good business, you're going to adhere to these principles. Everybody's going to get the same lesson every week.
Oh, yeah. Corporate church or whatever, right? Like, exactly.
You get rid of women's power. They don't need any
consistency throughout the entire.
Yeah, if Tim was listening, he would know exactly the word I'm fishing for. But anyhow,
Tim
Rathbone.
Yeah.
But the thing is, to me, it's more like, I don't think the church ever changed from a place of goodness or a liberalism. That was always forced on them. Like, racism got rid of because the United States kind of forced their hand. Polygamy, same thing. So they're always stuck with the conservatism. Mormonism at itself never had an interest in changing for being more liberal, more Jesus-like or whatever. Every time they did, it was because they forced their hand.
Except for Jessica, you pointed it out.
Exactly.
It's in the scriptures. Jesus says, love your neighbor.
Yeah.
But also, to some people, it's in the scriptures, hate your neighbor, right? And so some people take what they want.
Exactly.
And so
correlation. Well, the conservative,
the word I was fishing for.
The conservative never struggled with their faith. It's the liberal and nuanced Mormons. So of course you stick with the core, right? Because the core is there. They get shook when the church is forced to change, like I said, with racism. Like, now people of color can have the priesthood. They were the members who were shocked were the conservatives. They had to struggle and come around. So then you don't want to shake that boat way too often. You don't, because that's the people who stick around.
Yep. Plus, it's a good way because, like, I remember even when I was hanging out with Ward Radio and other, like, Mormon influencers and Mormon podcasters, everyone would joke about excommunicating the liberals. Now, realistically, you cannot excommunicate every single progmo and nuanced Mormon out there. So what do?
Mongolia,
you retrench, and then they just leave on their own,
right?
Which actually helps the church too. So, and I've seen people
go back to what I was saying real quick. The thing that's different now is the age of the internet.
Yeah.
All those other retrenchments happened when
before
there was you couldn't really there wasn't information available to fight against the retrenchment. There wasn't information available to compete against what the leaders of the church are saying. Now it's out there, and this is going to be phenomenally different.
Yeah, what's the joke? Think. Google making ex-Mormon since 1998 or something, right?
Retrenchment, by the way, when the soldiers are out fighting in the trenches and firing, and they dig these trenches in so that they don't get hit with bullets. But when the enemy starts advancing in closer and closer, these guys are like, hey, we've got to retrench. We've got to get somewhere else because bullets and shrapnel and shit is flying all over the place, and they have to retrench. And I think that's a great term, Gene, because that's exactly what's happening. The church is getting overwhelmed with all.
If you think about it, it's like the man behind the green curtain when it gets pulled back. Dorothy knows. Dorothy sees everything. It'd be like him saying, "Oh, I'm going to pull the curtain again because retrenchment."
Okay, the man behind the green curtain, you're referring to a mix between Wizard of Oz and the X-rated movie Behind the Green Door.
So you input the green door into there. The Emerald City has a green curtain.
Yep.
Because that's what it is. But yes.
Okay.
You know what? Yeah, go ahead.
Dorothy didn't help to be retrenched for Dorothy. Everybody else in Emerald City can be retrenched, right? But in a way, I think the new movie, I don't know.
No, you're right. Exactly. Twist that. Exactly.
Right. Now we got cameras, we got influencers like Diamond Dave. It's just so, for humanity, this is just going to be an amazing thing for study.
Yep.
For
I already know
psychologists.
I already know how it's going to play out because I'm seeing how it's going to play out. Every Mormon influencer, from Ward Radio to Sarah Clark to Rise Zion, they're all saying that basically, in different words, the same thing. This was such a great talk. We are in the time of sifting between the wheat and the tares.
Right. Yeah.
And so, it's like this is something that is desired.
Right.
And it's kind of interesting to me to see from an outsider perspective, because I was a convert and I don't follow this stuff as much as a lot of other people do. But it's interesting to see, liberal Mormons who are like, I don't know if this church is right for me, I'm going to leave. And then conservative Mormons are like, we don't want you here, please go. And yet they're fighting about it for some reason. It's working out for both of you. What's the problem here?
Well, they throw out the polygamy deniers now, right?
I saw that. I was actually surprised by that because I thought the church would back them because this would be a great opportunity to make the founder of the Mormon church actually look good.
Cleaner, yeah, exactly. But then you still, but the problem for me, what I don't understand, I have to say I don't know how my Mormon brain would have worked, but I didn't have the information is, what I don't understand, even let's say we all played the game. Joseph Smith did not live polygamy. Joseph Smith was not a racist, right? Let's play the game. The problem is, as we said, you have Brigham Young and 6 more other prophets who all did all of this. I don't understand how it helps you to clean up Joseph Smith if you are a Brighamite. Then you still have to say, I have to leave this church because we follow Brigham Young and A, B, C, D, whoever came afterwards. So I don't understand. Yes, it fixes a problem in the moment. I can feel better about Joe Smith, and okay, he was the founder, therefore maybe a little more special. But then you cannot have, by my logic, 6, 7 more prophets, not just apostles, prophets who are fully polygamous, full-on racist. How is it helping you that Joe Smith gets a clean vest in all of this?
Isn't that
well,
wonderful,
see,
Jessica?
I can
That's
answer
wonderful.
that.
Let me pitch. Next month is the Journal of Mormon Polygamy 2nd Annual Conference. I went to the historic first one, and it's so awesome that polygamy, Mormonism, Mormon Millennium is going out there. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I can answer that because if I put on my Mormon hat, my believing Mormon hat for a minute, here we go. Well, you see, guys, Joseph Smith restored the church and he was holy. But Brigham Young and the others, well, they're just men. And sometimes they went astray. And sometimes they didn't listen to the Spirit.
Yeah, but then I have a problem with prophet never leads you astray.
David and all these other people. I get what you're saying. But that's how you spin it. That's how every Mormon influencer. When I was a member of the church, that's how I would have spun it. Right?
Okay. That was your loophole, kind of.
Yeah, that I would use that loophole because look at Jonah, look at King David, look at the Apostle Paul. God used them anyway. So
they want God to have discernment. They want it to look like God, who personally chose Joseph Smith.
No.
But then isn't it also interesting that that same God apparently can never have this church survive longer than 50 years? Because, I mean, as Mormons, we claim it fell into apostasy. So here go, this God of the universe was not capable to keep up his church longer than a couple decades. And apparently the same then again with Mormonism, the true church. So we do this, but apparently we can't keep it up longer than a couple decades either. So your God is either really weak or actually gives a shit.
Yeah.
So Randy, do you have something to share?
Well, this is, Jessica had requested I put up, is this the video, the right video, Jessica?
Yeah, but I was saying, I think Benjamin, that's really kind of repetitive, just a little different views, but maybe we go on the pictures. I collecting some comments towards this. Then the video, it's another 2-3 minutes, which is pretty much what Benjamin Park said.
So this is not the right video.
No, it was, but I think we don't need to listen to it. That's all I'm saying. I think it's not news in it. We can save it.
I'll go to the pictures one.
Yeah, so it's fascinating. I mean, there were problems with history. There was problems, because when the church ended polygamy, we all get taught that it ended in 1890.
Exactly.
There was one thing that happened, and everybody beautifully blended their beliefs, and God eliminated polygamy. It was restored for a little while.
Only one manifesto.
One manifesto, right? And then we find out there was another manifesto, and then another one. There's even like a fourth one where they finally said, you know what? If you do polygamy anymore in the 1930s, we're excommunicating you. And that ties into the story.
And then you become Diamond Dave and move to Utah in 2020, and you see a lot of polygamous Mormons running around in 2020. Like, it's,
But that's to the point, Diamond. This is what I also struggle with, and I struggled when I was in the church because I'm not from Utah, right? Like when Mormons like to make this huge separation, we have nothing to do with FLDS. Of course, they're your fucking cousins. It's kind of, what do you think polygamy exists in the first place in Utah? It's because of Joe Smith and Brigham Young.
I would argue
outside of this.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I was a convert, and I'm not from Utah either. But I mean, like, to me, one of the things I asked the missionaries flat out, I'm just like, wait a minute, like, you guys don't practice polygamy anymore, but you have the AUB and you have the FLDS there. So
all of those.
Why are you the restored church but not them? Because they're the fundamentalists.
Yes.
They're still sticking to
Randy and I interviewed a former polygamist fundamentalist. He came on our show. He talked about why the fundamentalists were right. It's because there were 4 hidden revelations.
Yeah.
In there, and the church
to the point
church has them.
Yeah.
One of them's kind of iffy, but the church recently last summer said they just put it on the historical webpage. Yeah, this is the revelation. It's the whole basis of Big Love.
Yeah.
Big Love says there's a revelation that tells us to keep the principle going. And the church admits to it now.
Well,
Well,
here's something that'll blow
Yeah.
your skirt up. I went last night for Valentine's. I took my Amanda to the comedy club, the Spokane Comedy Club, where we watched Chris Frangiola, hilarious comedian. But his warm-up guy, his last name was Jessup. And he got up there and he said that he was raised in a polygamy cult, the fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Anyway, he talked about life as a polygamist, and his last name was Jessup, which I thought was pretty crazy because Gene and I had just interviewed a guy named Moroni Jessup, who was in the same organization. So I wonder if, I'm sure they're at least cousins.
And they have to be half brothers or something, right? I mean, it's pretty much all incest.
I mean, what
you know what's bad when you're a convert, when you're me, the Mormon church is just ridiculous. When you hear the last name Jessup and assume his name is Moroni.
Yeah.
I just knew that was his first name.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
So, Brittany, thanks for your comment.
Yeah.
There are lots of things that are really okay in humanity, in the animal kingdom, everywhere, but consent, that's the important thing.
Exactly.
And there's actually another article that we can get to, maybe we get to it or not, but it has to do with similar things. The consent issue, that the church doesn't teach consent and at the same time teaches modesty culture, which is rape culture, causes sexual assault.
Yes.
It's like the fertilizer for it. And Randy, we also talked about at some point, the church's teaching sometimes calls people into an area where they maybe wouldn't have otherwise. Like if you tell members not to masturbate, when I was 12, I was like, what is masturbating? So I had to look it up, whatever.
Exactly.
Google it.
Yeah.
And so by saying to don't do things sometimes makes people do things.
But back to the consent, what I thought was even more concerning too is one thing is learning, the idea or the concept of consent. But in Mormonism with polygamy, the other issue is hierarchical power. You have 30 above men marrying teenagers. There literally is no consent. Even if you understand the concept of consent, a kid cannot give consent. That's the other huge problem. There's power dynamic. There's threat of hell towards the family. That's way beyond consent, Mormon polygamy.
Exactly. Yeah. Jessica, I have these photos up.
Mm-hmm.
If I'll just go through them, if you'll explain each photo as we go. Mm-hmm. Is that cool? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So here I thought it was just interesting. Ever noticed how when apostles are picked, they never pick the Joe Schmo in the back row? It's more like military. They always take the top people in the church. It's basically a promotion. Catholics have the same setup. Jesus must have angered lots of rabbis when he picked fishermen and tax collectors as his apostles. Back to there's no diversity even in jobs. Like they're like corporate white men being apostles, and a certain apparently job. It's like medicine, law, and I guess really successful businessmen that God really is pleased by. Yeah.
Accounting.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Apparently God is really pleased by those men, right? We said it before, no teachers, no artists. They don't even exist in God's church, apparently have no value.
Exactly.
Okay. But speaking of church history, what was interesting? In the beginning of Oak's talk, he said that church history and many reports of the meeting in Nauvoo and who would succeed the murdered Joseph Smith. Many who were present record their experience of the mantle of Joseph settling on Brigham Young. Those experiences took many forms. Some had visual experiences, some heard Joseph's voice, and many had a feeling as each of us receives revelation differently. And I thought, what a liar. First of all, we know now it took 2 years. This, like how he represents it, looks like he died and then there was Brigham Young and everybody just had experiences.
Right.
That's again, that's a lie. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's not how it was.
My bullshit meter is going off.
Exactly. That's just when I read the whole thing, I was like, there was so many red flags. And again, his, abundance of speculations, that's on their part, not on ours. That's factually not true how it went down.
Yeah. Is this big enough for you to read?
Yes. If you just can go down, I don't see the top, I believe.
Oh.
The picture is not really important on that one. Yeah, here we go. At the very moment, our own children are leaving the church in droves. This is Oak's answer. Seriously? Oakes is still the same mean-spirited individual he was while running BYU, and the same man who was despised by most in the press corps. I, for one, am done making excuses for him. What a sad day for the church and for members attempting to bring good into the world and attempting to rediscover our better angels. What a giant step backwards. My heart is broken by this ugliness. And that's just it. If that's really what you come up with, like people are leaving, people struggle, you tell them not to listen to anti-Mormon podcasts. I truly think then you don't live in this world, because we have way bigger problems than anti-Mormon podcasts, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, not necessarily. I do want to push back on that, because the biggest problem for the church is anti-Mormon podcasts, right? That is the biggest problem.
As the Mormon church, but if you claim you're Christian, I would think you want to follow Jesus and, give people food, don't have people who starve, and love everybody no matter what.
So I'm going to say something. The biggest problem is once people realize that there was some shifty maneuvers about the church in the very beginning around Joseph Smith, how things happened. And really, since then, the church has been based on deception. Joseph Smith had to hide certain things. He had to hide the gold plates from people.
Yep.
He had to hide other things. He had to hide
his wives.
He had to hide his wives, right? When you have a foundation built on deception,
yeah.
Once you see that, it's the same thing with the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
He was deceiving people, right? And so whose fault is it? Dorothy for having Toto pull the curtain back? Or the fact that there was deception going on and right from the beginning?
Yep.
So when that actually comes to light by people who use their rational brains to see how can something maybe that's the greatest thing ever in the history of the world be all based and built on deception. Once you allow yourself to think that, it's like when I allowed myself to think that the priesthood ban wasn't based on anything God did. It was just based on racism.
Right.
Yeah.
That opened my eyes. The leaders were wrong.
That picture works with the deception, right? Because I feel even, what is it called when we raise our hand again?
Raise our hand to the square.
Sustaining.
No, the sustaining. The sustaining is also deception if you think about it, right? Because it means nothing in Mormonism. It's just, yes, I follow the masses. Because nobody cares if you're against it, and nobody cares actually if you raise your hand as long as enough people are doing it.
Jessica, are you saying it's like exercising your right to vote in Russia?
Pretty much.
It's like exercising your right to vote in America. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all run by corporations.
Yep.
But my point to that is a lot of Mormons who are political and are against communists think how horrible it is that Putin became president with 96% of the vote. There's no opposition. And yet,
exactly.
How many opposite votes were there for either Nelson or Oakes? And they'll say, oh, well, it's okay because God.
Exactly. Which, I mean, it's still like, it's pretty much saying I had a voice in my head. How do we not know you should be so strained and you have, mental illnesses? How do we know when that voice is legit and when isn't it? When somebody says God speaks to them, right?
Yeah. Is that big enough for you to read, or should I?
If you could, then yeah, it's small for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you can summarize.
Oh yeah, here you go. It says Clark Gilbert may be the most consensual apostle appointment in the modern church. As manager of Desert News, president of BYU Idaho, and commissioner of education, his most common refrain has been to double down on fundamental principles, avoid modern encroachments and reaffirm exceptionalism claims. In his public addresses, Gilbert has frequently critiqued modern institutions for losing their spiritual core and giving it to secularism. He has developed a widespread reputation among BYU system faculty for his conservative beliefs, distrust of contemporary academia, and eagerness to exert an intervening hand. Perhaps not since the appointment of J. Reuben Clark. I mean, that Benjamin Park actually said that last part. But if you look, and I can just highly recommend, I did it, look at Oak's talk. That's pretty much where he's going. He's saying, yeah, science is all good and important, but you have to be aware that if God hasn't given us all information, then just trust the eternity. Trust that when you die, you get all the answers. It's always this balance of like, we don't want to say out loud logical thinking and critical thinking is bad. So yeah, sure, there is some, I would say maybe wealth or truth to it, but they still limit this, right? It's not like use all your critical thinking and logical thinking, because that's dangerous for us.
That's right. Here's how I'll frame this. Diamond Dave, please loan me $1 million. I promise to pay you $1 billion in the eternities.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Just trust me.
Fuck off.
There you go. So that's basically what he's saying,
Yep.
Buy me a hamburger.
I'm right.
I'll mow your yard on Tuesday.
Someday I'm going to be proved right, and you'll be sorry.
Yeah, and he even quotes in his talk. You guys can look it up. It wasn't a big name, but so Oak says, he quotes, "There may be some seeming discrepancies. Do not worry about them." What a stupid saying. If I buy a car, back to our dealership, right? And there is something that sounds weird when I start the engine, and the seller would just say, "Don't worry about it." Like we all would be like, "That's."
I've had that happen actually. When I moved to Utah, I had to get a new car, and I test drove a car, and the brakes failed while I'm taking on a test drive while I'm driving. Like I would have punched the dude in the face. Like, don't worry about it. I'm like, excuse me, I almost
Diamond Dave, you didn't have faith in that car enough.
No,
it was your fault.
It was your fault. How are you?
I know, right? Apparently, I went through a red light and almost ended up hitting another car. That was like, I almost T-boned a car because the brakes failed. Exactly. And they're like, "Oh, we can get it fixed for you," and I'm just like, "No."
Why didn't you fix it earlier, right? Why did you let me drive it?
Exactly. We used the legal word earlier about the word consent. There's another legal word, liability.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I don't mean lie, because I already talked about deception, but I mean liability, right? There's at the beginning of COVID, or about within a year of COVID happening, there just happened to be, that's my frame of reference, a news story. Jif Peanut Butter Company found out that some of its products were causing some people to be ill. A few dozen people got ill. They withdrew over $100 million worth of product, right? Mm-hmm. Because they wanted to limit their liability. They wanted to be good stewards of their business. And yet the church has no liability.
No, the church has
because God says
it's always the afterlife, right? It's always the afterlife and the trust us thing. Yeah. So let me finish it. It's even crazier. So then he says, eternity is a long time. I have great respect for learning, for academic endeavor and the university atmosphere. I have a great respect for science and scientists and for the search for truth. And here comes, but remember this. Science, after all, even when it is true and final and factual, is simply man's discovery of a few things that God already knows and controls in his ordering of the universe. God has not told us all he knows. Yeah, exactly. I was like, what does this mean?
It's like a word salad. I mean, going back, it's a word salad. Going back to the car thing and what Jim was talking about liability. So before I moved to Utah, I had a really nice car, and There's a family emergency where I had to drive to Wisconsin, did $2,300 of work on the engine, spark plugs, brakes, you name it, right? So I'm driving to Wisconsin. I get it done early in the morning, and like 7 a.m. I'm out the door and on the highway. Well, my engine seizes on a highway where I'm doing 75 miles an hour, and it goes from 75 to 30, and I get slammed into my steering wheel, right? So I pop the hood, wait for the tow truck. The engine was not completely mounted to the car at all. There was a workman's rag partially in the radiator from the mechanic that left it there. And two spark plugs broke because of the engine. I needed a higher quality spark plug. So what ended up happening, the tow truck guy comes, he looks at it, and we take it back to Tires Plus, and he's like, you can sue them into the ground right now. This was in Edina, Minnesota. He's like, you can sue them in the ground. I'm like, let me see what they're going to do first. And the manager was actually very helpful because he fired the supervisor on duty at that time, who didn't even work on the car. He fired the mechanic that worked on my car and said he would fix the car and refunded the $2,300.
Wow.
Because of the liability issue. Because they
That's
failed.
an upstanding person. I would love that.
Accountable.
Call
He was
car dealer to be profit
accountable
someday.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's accountable, and he also knew that had I wanted to push it, because like I had a visible bruise on my shoulder, and the tow truck guy even looked at, he saw it because I was wearing a tank top, and he explained the situation. We both had pictures, and like he knew that if I wanted to sue, there's like it would be bad for the entire company. Right.
That's a great example, right? Let's say someone in the leadership does something wrong. There is no firing in Mormonism. You're apostle for life. You can say the craziest bullshit. At the end of the day, then the best excuse, like Dave said before, is, well, there were men. Well, what does that even make anything better? It does nothing. Okay, so what? But then still, where is, how do you make it better? Like, why is he still having the job? And even bishops, I mean, let's go lower, can do so much damage. They will never be released for that unless they have to be excommunicated for something.
Right.
Yeah. And it's only when, at least from my anecdotal observation, it's only when the public uproars and is like, I mean, because like apostles, nothing happens to them. Bishops and stake presidents, nothing will happen to them unless people throw a tantrum. And like, I think in one case, it took like a bunch of people sending death threats before the church actually did anything.
There you go. Yeah. So not because they eternally want to be better, right? Or they recognize something and now they need to do change. It's always forced because their hands are forced.
Well, they have to convince God to change his mind.
Yes.
And then they can make the change.
God, can you? It's really hard down here. People kind of hate us. And then that was kind of at the end. So let's say, right, we all struggled. We all had questions. And here is a really confident quote. Trusting God in what we know and in what we don't know is great protection. Again, word salad. Like, how is both of it great protection against doubt and based on mistaken ideas instead of on what God has chosen to reveal?
Yeah, that's a word salad, and that still I personally can use as ammunition to have left the church, trusting God in what we know. Now, I was not like John DeLynn said, there's like the people who join the church are in the church because it's true, and then there are utility Mormons and there are community Mormons, another kind. I was a utility Mormon because I was at a point of spiritual stagnation and financial stagnation. Like, things were good. I had just got my first banking job at Wells Fargo in 2018, but at 2020, things were stagnant. And the missionaries promised me blessings on earth as well as heaven, on earth as it is in heaven. So trust, if you have doubts, which I did because I was checking all the boxes, and the return on the investment became very uneven. It was not equal. I was not getting anything from it. Trusting God what you know. Well, I know you should be giving me things. I know I should be getting blessings.
Yep.
this is a breach of contract. So even that doesn't help, because many converts, and especially in Africa, many converts join for utility reasons. Yes, there's a good community and many of them are already Christian, but they're expecting to get something out of it. And that's why we see so many countries with memberships in, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands in like Russia, or like here in Mongolia or whatever. But it's like I'm really curious to know how many of them joined expecting something as opposed to like stayed in. Because one of John DeLynne's Oh, real quick, I was just going to finish by saying that John DeLynne interviewed a guy who went to Russia, and every person he baptized left before he even left Russia.
I just want to say the same thing in Europe, because I grew up in Germany. Is like, I know in general the church has a hard time keeping their converts, but in Europe it's even harder because they're all immigrants, and to the point, right? They even if they're in Germany or if they're in France or England, it really has nothing to do with the country, but they come from somewhere where they have nothing. They're fearful, and so they hope, oh, maybe I get a flat, an apartment, or money, or even community who helps me, give me rights, free rights. Mormons are suckers for this, right? Until they figured out even Mormons have limits, right? Where they're like, well, I can't be the chauffeur forever for this person. I mean, they kind of have to help themselves.
Christ's and even love only goes so far.
Exactly. And especially if they're not getting baptized, right? They're still just interested. And then when Mormons figure out, oh, then he might not get baptized, then I don't want to do free shit anymore, right? So it's tricky.
Are we being loving humans, or are we being used?
Exactly.
I think it's just transactional, because many cultures, like I'm very fluent with like Indian culture, just because of family, as well as I'm Hindu and I've been to India, which is nice. But the point is that many people in India join because it's a free caste upgrade, and all it costs is 10% of your income. Right. When you come from a culture where haggling is a thing, where you come from a culture that you have to do spiritual, good deeds to rise up and ascend castes, like joining Mormonism is like a no-brainer.
Good point. That's a good point too. Yeah.
So, but then many of them leave when they realize, you know what, I was better off, like, just doing this.
Yes.
This is a point that's really bugged me, and it all ties in. And I just made a complete TikTok video and Facebook video about this.
I thought you were going to say I made a complete TikTok out of myself.
Yeah. If I don't know about you guys, but when I left the church, it wasn't because someone pissed me off. It wasn't because I wanted to try alcohol or smoke a cigarette.
That came later, way later.
I did that before I joined.
Is because I
listened,
I listened to my heart. I followed my heart, my testimony, everything that these LDS people claim. Okay. So when I meet someone who gives me a sincere, spiritual, beautiful testimony of their church, not the LDS church.
Yeah.
Well, which is true? Because they'll say that the Holy Ghost guided them and that they have this testimony. I say that I'm following my heart and my testimony, but yet all of the majority of the LDS, what do you call them? When the antagonists, they try to say that I'm wrong and they're right. And how do they know that? Because the Holy Ghost told them so.
Do you know?
Guess what? Maybe I've got the Holy Ghost.
On YouTube, do you know that Spiritual Witnesses? This was one of those videos. I think it's 9 minutes. I don't know who even did it. It's not ex-Mormon or Mormon, whatever. But it's like multiple religions, right? And you can only read it on the bottom at some point. And I think there's even one Mormon in it. But the whole thing, they all have a book. They all have a bosom in their heart. They all know their church is true. But it's like 10 different religions. This is so powerful. And there's not even a commentator telling at the end of the day what's right or wrong, what you have to think about it. But just by this itself, like, oh my goodness, everybody thinks this way in their church, right? Like their book is true. Their spirit only works. their God is on their side.
Is there a whole team of Holy Ghosts bearing different testimonies to different people?
I'm still waiting for Gene to find Vishnu. But
I actually made me think of that we should have you on just to talk about Hinduism, just as a fun.
Okay, well, we could
how Hinduism and Mormonism bounce off each other and stuff in your mind when you were doing your thing. That'd be a fun show.
Yeah.
We could also clarify that there are many lenses of Hinduism. Unlike Mormonism, it's not one.
Is Vishnu the destroyer?
Yep. Well, there's Lord Shiva, which is the creator and the destroyer.
Right. And those are fascinating concepts, right?
Yep.
You know what it reminds me of? Being a kid in a sandbox. You build a castle and you smash it. And then you build it again. That's fun. That's what we're doing on Earth.
It's also the basis for the atomic bomb, actually.
There you go.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
So,
well,
So at the end, I'll share a story where I thought, wow, it can't go more Mormon than this. Like, those flat stories where you're like, well, and then Sister So-and-so went somewhere and gave a cookie and they almost want to be baptized just because they gave her a cookie, right? Those like really.
I want one of those cookies.
Yes, right. Where I'm like, is that a Dutch cookie or what's going on with that cookie? Mushroom cookie? So at the end, I was really waiting for something deeper and it didn't come. So at the end, Oak says, after a few weeks, so there was a little, obviously always like young people who struggle, right? So after a few weeks, the young man confided in his bishop, I should share with you that I have decided to step away from the church. So I no longer believe. The surprised stake president immediately began to share his profound testimony of the gospel that had brought him so much joy, peace, and inspiration. The young man sat stunned, staring back at the stake president with tears in his eyes. He said, I have not heard anyone speak like that in months. I have been hanging out with friends who don't believe. Well, really? I say to all of you, as that wise stake president said to this young man, seek friends and associates who are striving to follow the Lord, friends and associates with whom you can feel the Spirit and with whom you can reinforce your faith. I thought it couldn't get any flatter than this. I was like, that's your depth?
That reminds me of like those stupid Dare commercials telling us not to smoke weed in the 90s in America. And like the evils of peer pressure.
Yeah.
Because we're incapable of making our own decisions. It's all what our friends want to do and what they believe.
Right, exactly. But I was just so disappointed. I thought, please, it can't be your typical Mormon story where somebody says, but we love you and I just love the gospel. And then the other person is like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. It's almost like, I don't know. It's just so silly to me. I'm like, this is all you got? That's an inspired stake president who just shares how he loves the gospel? Yeah, surprise. I mean,
right.
It was just like, that's what you do in 2026. That's what you think helps kids who come across Google and learn about racism in the church and polygamy in the church. But I just feel good. It's just so good to be in the church. I was stunned. I was really stunned.
Well, that's why
bad bet.
Yeah, that's why influencers, I would argue now, are more influential than actual church leaders. Because there's a lot of women influencers, even like Sarah Clark, who's saying that's garbage. Like that might work for people in their 80s, but we're in our 30s, and that just does not work.
Exactly.
So you're not gonna connect with the cool kids that way. Like you're just not.
But it's also like you put a Band-Aid on a broken leg. Exactly, right? It's not working. It's not helping. It's maybe a set for a second, make you feel good. I don't know, but it's not helping.
So I don't know if Randy found the quote from Oakes that research is not the answer, but here's like a corollary argument.
That having perplexing questions that arise from reasons to doubt is not a problem. But please understand, finding answers to these perplexing questions ultimately is not the solution.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
That is from God, Randy.
Yeah.
Let me see if I understood him correctly, because I swear I just heard a stroke from I just had a stroke from hearing it. Finding answers to perplexing questions is not a solution.
Yep.
How do you make sense of that in the scientific world?
I don't understand how this lands, how this is like, wait, what?
I should have bought beer before this. Jesus Christ, This is terrible.
I know. I'm going to go do an edible here pretty quick. If my blood pressure continues to rise.
Yeah, but besides the joke, I like how we started off with Haley's video, right? But it also does harm. We can laugh about it now because we're outside and it's silly, but it does harm when you have a spouse who's in, or you have siblings or parents, and now your prophet is literally telling you, like, don't talk to them. Only talk to the people like the stake president who feel like it's so good, because all the others are only, bringing you down. And that's just where it divides the families and friendships, where this church so-called pretends it's all about family. But now again, you tell members, don't talk to your kids or your own parents or spouses who think differently, right? And that's when it's pissed me off, right? I'm like, how is that a healthy organization? Why can you not letting adult being adults? They really don't trust their own members. That's what they're pretty much saying.
Yeah.
So true. Well, they don't trust their members.
Mm-hmm.
And just to summarize this, the apostles, the Q15, are running scared.
Yeah.
And I think that's very obvious. The church is hemorrhaging their youth.
Yeah.
And now they're starting to entrench themselves because the community is coming on to them. Mm-hmm. It's like the gig's up, brothers and sisters. You either trust in one man, not God, not Christ, not the Holy Ghost, in the prophet of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Exactly. Don't even trust yourself either, right?
No, don't. No.
Yeah.
No, don't trust yourself.
And again, if all our podcasts, right, would be so silly and dumb and we just lying, it's still weird why we have so much power over them, that they have to address it, right? If we nobody, like, why address it?
Right.
Why sleep? Why wake up sleeping dogs? That's not really smart if you think about it.
Well, exactly. It's like any other organization be like, oh, they want to leave? Okay, let them go. Who cares?
Exactly.
Right?
All
like,
right.
Nobody,
I think he kind of just declared war, honestly.
Exactly.
He said, don't listen to them. Yeah. Listen to me.
And it also goes in this category of, again, shunning your own friends, shunning your family members who listening either to those podcasts or who do struggle and say, actually, I was listening, to whatever Mormon podcast. And they're like, but they have a point. You have to immediately shut down. Like, no, don't listen to this, right? It's shunning in a way. It's just not saying the word.
Right. Exactly. It is.
Mary's got a good point. That's Tim. But Mary's got a good point. Missionaries shouldn't talk to non-believers. That makes their purpose void.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
I know the last set of elders I had come by left. I was very kind and sweet to them, but they did walk out with their tail between their legs.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what just hit them. And I didn't preach to them. They asked me questions and I answered them.
I mean, even in whole Christianity, missionary work doesn't make sense if you think about it. So if you get a chance kind of in heaven anyways, I guess it's more Mormon than Christian. But as Mormons, you should actually not do missionary work, because isn't that way easier? If you die, you never heard of it, because then you have that chance. It's all about when you heard it and you don't accept it, right? Isn't that what Mormon believes?
Not kind of, not really, because I mean, there's spirit prison where you can minister them in their spirit prison, but there's also the baptisms for the dead. That's kind of the main.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but isn't that easier? Like, don't talk anyone on this planet, and then when we die, you just do all the baptism for the dead for them.
Right.
Well,
What
the
you're saying
thing
is,
about
if you're
Go
not
ahead.
baptized and you're not an active member of the church, you can't really sin, can you?
Exactly. That's my
Because
point.
you don't know. So we'll just wait till we
Yeah.
get to the other side and let the
I
Mormons
can
baptize me.
Yeah.
from a logistical standpoint, I can see why they do that, because there's been billions of people on the planet before us. So they have to do a ton of baptisms for the dead. So it's actually easier for them to send missionaries because it's less baptisms of the dead, it's less proxy work.
Yeah, but
It's
minimal, if you think about it, all the billions and the work we do, it's minimal. I mean, you have to believe in some miracle way how we do it anyway. So then it doesn't matter. If it's about numbers,
Yeah.
you don't believe in miracles.
One thing about Randy is Randy has the gift of tongues. Randy, can you see that comment on the side before we put it up? Read it over real quick and see if you want to read it and translate it.
Oh, hang on a minute. I am not on the
So
chat.
yeah, go to the comment thing within StreamYard and just look over to the right and see there's a Spanish comment. Read it over real quick and see. I guess I could put it up on the channel and then you could tell me if you should read it or not, or translate it.
Oh, I translated it.
Is it good or bad?
It's Mormon. It's the stereotypical apology for making us feel resentful. Even so, we are in the truth and we wish to have you with us again.
Thank you very much. Blessings
Yeah.
to you. We also desire that you, in turn, think about the gift God gave you. It's right up here. Everybody has it.
I have a question. Why are you listening to our podcast?
Oh, we don't question that.
No, I'm just curious. Honestly,
Like,
just why? I'm not saying they can't, obviously.
well, I mean, they're human. I listen to things that, I listen to both sides of discussions. Right?
Not to every subject. I don't listen to UFO podcasts. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts.
I may or may not have a comment, depending on how I want to look.
I mean, it could be an algorithm thing because they're Mormon and we are in the Mormon topic of the internet. So this is gonna pop up in people's feeds anyway. We occasionally get trolls.
After a couple of seconds, you should figure out what we're doing.
Well, and I love the fact that they invited us to return. Well, yes. This is an example of what I'm talking about. Her testimony is right, and ours is wrong.
I know.
Let's just know that you're wrong. Come on back.
I want to return to a community of people that will
judge me.
No, will engage in dialogue.
But they don't.
Well, we're all going to judge everybody anyway.
Exactly.
I want everyone to hear, including that person, to return to the true faith that predates Christianity, called Hinduism, the first religion on the planet.
There you go.
Yes, exactly.
The original religion.
Yes, exactly. The OG of religiosity.
Humanity is creating connections with fellow humans, right? Nobody is an island unto themselves. No. Even in Mongolia, Diamond has millions of people around him, and he's getting support. And he goes and he has good food. He's got nice houses weather to live in, infrastructure to navigate. Humanity's been doing stuff. Civilization has been around for a long time. We're cool with humanity. We like interactions, and people want to be kept busy. And, church is a way to be kept busy and to create connections. The problem is the dogma. So is dogma have Latin roots?
I believe that it does, yes.
Yeah.
What I could ask real quick.
Doesn't?
But I feel like busyness is not what everybody's looking for, because busyness just keeps distracting you from thinking. I think we need calmness to actually think. But if you're busy, doing, there's no space to actually wait, what am I actually doing? I think you should, who was it? It was a philosopher who said, there should be at least 2 or 3 times in your life where you should question everything. Kind of like an inventory of yourself. Why am I here? What am I doing? Is this serving me? Is it not? And as a Mormon, you cannot do this because you figured out already once it's the true church.
Yeah.
Okay, so dogma means beliefs.
Okay.
It's a Greek word, and beliefs are okay. We all believe we're right. Diamond, do you believe you're right?
Yes.
Would you even be on this show if you thought that everything that came to your mind was wrong?
No.
No, we all believe we're right, but part of dialogue helps us all discuss things, and then we can reevaluate our beliefs. Like if you had to believe that the sky was orange in order to get to heaven, how many people would be in that church? Just me?
Probably all of them, because if the prophet says the sky is orange, the sky is orange.
What do you do with the people who are colorblind?
So see, somebody who thinks that they're not being mind controlled, you could pose a question like that and they'd say, well, for sure, I know that the sky is not orange. So therefore, I would not follow that dogma. Okay. Doubt your doubts in a way. Doubt your surety.
Stop thinking.
Engage with people. Communicate. We live in the age of the internet. And we're exploring these things. And, if somebody has evidence that God wants us to think the sky is orange, or evidence that does things, every religion is based on some sense of truthfulness because it's been around for hundreds of thousands of years, because it's been all part of our humanistic.
Sure, but I would say there's a limit to me, which I learned leaving religion, that yes, I'm interested in an honest and respectful conversation, but as soon as you want to sell me hate in any form, I have no interest anymore. I'm done with that. I'm not talking to any hillbilly out there who just wants to push his agenda, his truth on me. And that's unfortunately what Mormons do, because the whole thing of like, oh, we want you to come back. No, you don't want me as I am right now in your pews. Don't lie. At least be honest about that, because I'm that apostate. I'm way too loud. I have too much opinions for you, especially for women in Mormonism. I'm way too loud, opinionated. So at least be honest that you would not want me in your church. I have to crawl back into that box. Then you would want me in that church.
Well, that's the thing. They only want you in the church if you agree to bow your head and say yes. That's about it.
Exactly.
And speaking of bowing our heads, we've been going for almost 2 hours. I guess time flies when you're having fun. Huh?
Yes.
But probably about time to wrap this sucker up.
Right. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Jessica.
Any projects y'all want to tell us about, Gene? So
I actually want to do a show with Tim Rathbone. Tim had some mighty strong words, Runt, for Dallin Oaks, because he spotted right away that Dallin Oaks started his talk with misrepresenting history.
Yep.
And so we'll start off with that with Tim maybe, and we'll see if we can stay on a certain track and discuss some of Dallas Oaks' words from that point of view this week, and we'll see what happens there.
And Jessica, you, just like Dave, are always invited to come on and be part of that panel.
Sounds good.
Love that.
Yeah.
I know that, and I'm going to bear you my testimony of the truthfulness of Jessica's content. Jessica, I'm semi-retired. I still have work that I have to do, but not a lot. And I have taken to social media, kind of putting a lot of videos out there on TikTok and YouTube. I can't keep up with Jessica because every time my computer opens up, here's 3 or 4 of her posts, and they're good posts. So we'll be sure and put Jessica's YouTube, it's Facebook. Facebook, right?
Her name is printed there, and you can just look her up on Facebook and check out her post.
Yeah. Always happy to interact with anyone, but if people like starting to kind of cuss up people that comment on mine, I will delete you. I'm done with that. Be respectful, and I'm happy to have a conversation about anything, But if you cuss on people that are commenting and have issues, I am deleting posts now. And then I'm always saying, oh, you must be a Christian.
You're not open to irrational comments.
Yeah, especially insulting people. That's not even a comment to me. That's just, no, I'm not dealing with insults. Yeah. Either towards me, which I don't care much, but if you have to insult people who commented on my things, then no, I'm not having that. I'm protective.
How about you, Diamond Dave? Anything you want to tout?
I mean, there's my YouTube channel, but it has nothing to do with Mormonism whatsoever. It's gaming. And yeah, so I'm in the process of working on a couple other YouTube channels in the works that are going to be launched that deal with more spirituality, what Christians call the occult. Gotta trigger them. But all joking aside, that's not the intent. But yeah, so I've got my gaming channel, which is there. We could throw that up too if you want.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
Well,
Send me a link that you want me to put in the description, and I'll send it to me on Facebook. That way I can.
And I would like to put in a link to Momo Nomo on TikTok, because I'd love it if y'all would slide over and take a look at those. It's kind of like, shortened versions of all of the videos I'd love to do.
That's right. And someday we're going to get Randy's son on, because Randy's goal is to surpass his son on likes and subscribers.
Never will I reach that height. I doubt that I'm going to get 4 million followers on YouTube, since I have 270 right now.
You're good. Close. Be optimistic. There's millions of years that you can have to catch up, according to Dallas.
Yeah, I have eternity. Right?
Eternity.
Just spend a huge amount of money on ads.
Oh, fun fact, because I was never about numbers. Because I'm just a private person. I never felt I am somebody. But my most watched reel now has 8,000 views.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I was not aware.
8,000. That's great.
Yep.
That is great.
I'm trying to breach 60,000 views, because I have like 4 YouTube videos that hit like 55 to 58,000 views.
It's definitely a different arena.
But yeah, it's gaming, so it's really hard to compete. Oh my god.
Yes,
so
exactly.
So thanks everybody for watching the Salt Lake Expositor. We're just exposing some of the things that we found interesting about Dallas's talk. I'm going to say I'm grateful he mentioned that science is pretty good. That's a plus to me. I'm grateful he got out there. It's way better that he's doing something. Now, if I was 93 and I was a prophet, I'm going to get my mug on TV as much as I can, because I want to make my mark. So maybe that's part of what he's doing. I don't know.
Yeah.
He was humble a little bit. If you go to lots of different shows, one, like I mentioned earlier, with Radio Free Mormon, somebody had a comment. I think it was, what's his name from Idaho? The other lawyer that works with RFM a lot on his takedowns of
Is it Cody?
Yeah,
Colby got an impression that Dallin was, in a way, humbled that he hasn't seen God yet. I mean, it's not quite that severe, but or have a powerful witness or whatever. And so that's a great observation, and I would recommend people to go watch RFM's show on LDS discussions and watch all the other things. John DeLynn shows up on it, and like we said, some other people. Somebody I'm missing. Rebecca Biblioteca, just a shout out. She won the award for ex-Mormon of the Year, and congratulations to her for that. And Latter Daily Digest was nominated for 2 Brody Awards, but we were also Rands, and that's okay. It was just nice to be appreciated.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that President Trump will be trying to get that award from Rebecca, trying to claim it for his own.
I'll put a link if somebody just wants to join the after show. We can do an after show. Tim is in the after show, and so
like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button.
Like and subscribe and do all the things. And thanks everybody for watching again. And